Very good. Okay, so talking about a practicum.
Okay, yes. So practicums were like when you're in a classroom doing different things. So each year I had different expectations or different roles or things that I was supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
So the first practicum that I did was more just like observing and like helping out here or there. But I got to be in a classroom every single year that I was there, like years 1, 2, 3, doing different things, helping in different classes. I had to help with like an after school like tutoring program.
Okay.
And so, you know, as you go, you're required to do more. Like the teachers would be like, okay, now that you've been here for a while, like, do you want to try teaching this phonics lesson or doing things like that? Or then it would get to the point where I would be like, I would have to plan and teach a couple of units. So like I would teach like this whole unit in math. And then eventually I student taught. So I went and I did, I can't remember how many weeks, like, but half of a semester. I did half of a semester student teaching in 5th grade and half of a semester student teaching in kindergarten in the same school. Okay. So I went and I observed for the first little bit and then slowly like took over everything in the classroom and then eventually like re-released the responsibility back to the teacher so that we could just have kind of a smooth transition. But yeah, so I had a lot of experience in the classroom, which was good. And I think like when I talked about my mental breakdown when I was in college, I was like, oh my gosh, what if I hate it? Yeah. I was like, oh, well, here I am in the classroom and this is so fun and I love it. And so it was good.
You got hands-on experience, which I think is so tricky with so many jobs.
Yeah, it is tricky. And like, even still, like, I don't even think there are so many components of teaching that are not just the stuff in the classroom. Like the stuff in the classroom and like the teaching part and being with the kids, I love.
Right.
There are so many other factors that you're just like not necessarily even prepared for. Like the government, the legislation that's passed about your job, the school district and the things that they say, like, this is what we're doing. And we're like, why are we doing that? You know, like people make decisions about your job that don't have experience in the classroom and education. And you have to just like take that and accept that and do the best that you can with it. But there's a lot of politics in education. There's a lot of parents that have strong opinions. There's like your administration or your coworkers. And I'm so fortunate that I have amazing people that I teach with and I have a really great principal that I love. And so that like really makes a huge difference.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like it's one of those jobs where like if I didn't have a great principal that I trusted and I knew had my back, or I didn't have good coworkers, like it would be really hard to stay.
Yeah.
Because there's so many things that are hard.
Right.
Like if it was like I am fighting with my coworkers or like we don't get along or it's not a collaborative like team effort, it would be so hard.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Because as an outsider, maybe as a dummy, I don't know. But like, it does seem so individualistic. It seems.
Yeah.
And maybe my teachers were doing it wrong. You know what I mean? And they were just doing their own thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, from my perspective, it just seems as if they were just doing their own thing. It didn't matter if they gelled.
Probably were.
Oh, okay.
I think they probably were because
maybe they weren't
things have just changed a lot.
Oh, okay.
Like teachers used to have full control over their curriculum. Like it was like, here are the standards, here's what you have to teach.
Okay.
You choose how. Kind of thing. But now it's like, here are the standards, here's the curriculum you're using, here's how it will be taught.
Okay.
So it's very different. And you know, like some teachers would collaborate on things like, you know, like we're all like all the 5th grade is doing this same project or whatever. But you know, and they might have like a similar like math curriculum they're using, but I don't like things weren't quite as like, I don't know if specific is the word, but like it wasn't quite as thorough of a curriculum that they were using then. As
we're winging it.
Yeah.
That's why.
But like it wasn't bad. You know what I mean? Like people were learning and engaged and
they knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
Okay, but it wasn't cohesive across the board.
Yeah, I mean it wasn't necessarily like all the 1st grade teachers have to be doing the same thing. Right. And maybe they were, but you know.
That's why some classes seemed more fun than others.
They get to do all the fun projects.
I want Miss
They're always doing art.
Yeah. That's so funny. That is fun. Okay, so as you knew you wanted to pick this career and everything, what was
Mhm.
something that really drew you to it? What are some pros and cons of what you do?
I mean, pros are getting to work with kids. Obviously, if you don't like working with kids, this is not the career for you because you are with them all day.
Yeah.
And they
So much work.
are like your little ducklings that follow you around.
It's amazing. Yeah.
So, like that's a big one. If you enjoy working with kids and like seeing kids make progress and achieve goals and things like that, like that's the rewarding part of the job. Like seeing their success and being a part of that is so fun.
Uh-huh.
Obviously everyone's like, oh, it's so nice to have summers off. And it
I
is.
know.
It is so nice. And teachers will also say, if we didn't have summers off, we would not survive.
Sure.
Yes, it is a definite pro. It's so nice to have summers off.
And all the other holidays.
And all the other holidays. Like, huge pro.
Yeah.
Huge pro. So necessary.
Uh-huh.
You would burn out. Like, you have to have that time to, like, recharge.
Uh-huh.
And I used to nanny, too, like, before I started teaching. And people would be like, are you nannying this summer? And I'm like, no, I can't. I need a break. I need a break from other people's kids. I love them.
Right.
But I need to, like, have some time for myself to, like, put myself back together. That sounds, like, bad. I'm not ending the school year in shambles necessarily. But, like, you become really mentally and emotionally depleted a lot of times. Yeah. Like, and depending on your kids, too. Like, it is different from year to year. But, the breaks is a huge plus. Uh-huh. The summer break, winter break, like, we just had 2 weeks off for Christmas break. And that was amazing. So, yeah, that's a huge plus. And if you are someone that has kids, like, it's a great job that you can do while your kids are at school and you're home when they're home. And so that's a huge plus too. That is really nice. Mm-hmm.
I could only imagine. I mean, I have nieces and nephews that I love and no kids of my own, but I love them. But yeah, I mean, having 23 of them around me would be hard. I would be exhausted.
Yeah.
And these are my, like, flesh and blood. You know, I get their jokes and everything. I mean, I get how to get them out of temper tantrums,
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine. It's got to be exhausting.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
But some people have a second job and they keep it going through to stay busy the summer or supplement income or whatever. But you get paid throughout the whole year. It's just divided up.
Yeah. So I'm only paid. This is actually, I feel like, kind of a misconception. Like, people are like, you're getting paid for the time that you're off, which is not true. Uh-huh. You get paid for the month, like the time that you work. Like, I get paid for my contracted year, which is like 186 days.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm only being paid for that time. I'm not being paid for my days off in the summer, even though I'm getting my paycheck.
Oh, I see.
Throughout the year.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'm not actually, like, getting paid for the days I'm not working.
Right. Okay. It's just divided up. So
like, I get a paycheck like twice a month for the entire year.
Okay.
But I'm not getting paid for the days I don't work.
Right. Maybe it's just how it's communicated. It does sound like you're right. Hearing it back,
like, it makes sense.
It does make sense.
Yeah.
And that's probably what people are thinking. They're just wording it in a different way.
It's not like an unlimited PTO situation.
Right. No, that's true. Speaking of that, do you get sick days in PTO during the school year?
Yes. So they really don't want you to miss school.
I'm sure.
Because they're like, you have 2 months in the summer.
Right.
So
get sick later.
Don't do anything during the school year.
The dentist?
Yeah, they actually have I personally have never achieved this, but if you miss fewer than a certain number of days, you get a stipend for being there.
Okay.
And I'm kind of I need a mental health day every now and then. You know what I mean? So I've never gotten that stipend. But
is it a lot of days?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I think it's if you miss 1 or 2 max.
Okay.
Sick or not. And I'm that sounds dangerous. What if you are really sick?
Right.
Hopefully you're still taking those days off.
Well,
and it's just a bonus if you get there.
A personal day.
Yeah. So we get 2 personal days per year, but those accrue. But you can only use 5 in one school year.
Okay.
And then I think I'm not positive on the numbers now that I'm thinking about it, but I think we get 5 sick days, and I could be totally wrong. It could be 7.
Okay.
I think it might be 7. You get
Okay.
7 sick days, and then there's like, you know, bereavement leave, but only for an immediate family member or a
Oh,
grandparent. So like I
okay.
couldn't take a bereavement day if I had an aunt pass away or a
Oh,
cousin.
okay.
There's
Interesting.
there are family sick days that you can use, like if you have a kid that's sick that you have to take to the doctor or whatever. And you get 5 of those. So
And those probably vary according to what district you're in or state.
yeah,
and
yeah,
everything?
probably.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure it's slightly different for everybody, but that's how it is for the district that I
I've
work
got a
for.
question now that it's
Okay.
snowing. This is a random one. But I have a sister who lives out of state, and they have had so many snow days. They haven't gone back to school for a full day of school yet.
You're kidding.
No, it's
Oh my
insane.
gosh. I wish it was snowing like that here.
Well, it's not really snowing that much.
It's just they're not ready. They're not prepared.
Used to it.
Okay.
And or it's too cold for the kids to wait out for a bus.
Mm.
So then they call it in early. How do they make up those days?
So things have actually changed since COVID.
Okay.
It's actually great. I mean, I think it's great. If we have a snow day, we have like a Canvas module that we make that has stuff for like the students to do. And as long, like if we have that, we don't have to make up the snow day at the end of the school year.
Okay. So does every child have a computer or a tablet or something?
In junior high and high school, I think all of the kids have a Chromebook that's like checked out to them.
That's insane.
But not at the elementary school level.
Okay.
Which is interesting that we can then count that as a day. Yeah. But it's like as long as we have provided something for the kids to do, it counts somehow.
Do you like those
days?
Which
is great. Yeah, I mean it's really
like
nice to not have to make it up.
Right.
You know, because it'd be like we would always have a snow day like the weekend of Memorial Day. Like that Friday would be the snow day, and we would either not have school if we didn't have a snow day during the year, or if we had taken a snow day. I
always wondered what those were.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. So it was literally just like a planned makeup day as a buffer, just in case.
Okay, so in this case with this schooling, do you think that they're going to have to make all these up in the summertime?
Maybe. That would be an interesting thing to ask your sister.
They haven't been doing the online schooling. They have just been days where they've had off. Like there hasn't been homework.
Yeah, there will have to be some sort of makeup because you're required to reach a certain number of days, minutes, time, like seat time. How they choose to make that up will be interesting.
Yeah,
I don't know. But also it may be different like state by state
it's true.
Too.
Yeah, I don't know. I should ask her. She didn't really know because she's like, this is kind of weird over here. I'm like, yeah, that is
have like weird. A dusting of snow on the road.
Or there's no snow, it's just cold.
Oh man.
But do you have any stories of something that was like impactful or really remember like a story that maybe do you think I'm really glad I'm a teacher?
I think it's not necessarily like I don't know if I have anything that's like, oh, there was this huge moment.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of the day-to-day that is like tiring and draining, and you have little moments that make it worth it, you know, like little moments where it's like they got it, or like you have this like moment where you're working with this kid and they're like, oh, now I understand, and you're like, great, you know. It's just like little things like that. Or even like just my birthday's in December, and I had a student who's in 5th grade who came and brought me a birthday card.
Oh, sweet.
She remembered that my birthday's over the break, and I'm just like little things like that mean so much, you know. Or when you have like former students that come and say hi to you and like tell you they miss being in your class, and like the things like that are meaningful. And I think especially I've had situation or like little interactions with students who I was like, I don't know if I made a difference in your life, you know, like I don't know if I got through to you. I don't even know if you liked me. And then they'll like say things or like wave to you in the hall, or I'll have parents be like, they were just telling me how much they missed your class and how much they loved you as their teacher. And I was like, I had no idea. Like, I'm so glad to know that.
That
you
is
know,
so nice.
So just like little things like that. I think that the validation and the wins in teaching are all of those little moments, the little successes that your kids have, and the little thank yous or the little handwritten notes that they bring and that are like, thanks for being my teacher, I love you so much, you know, like just those little things.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, you're a massive piece of their life at that stage, whatever stage it is.
Yeah.
And it's actually really funny. I happened to go to the middle school I used to, I attended back in the day. And I went to support a friend who was helping out with some extracurricular activities. And someone used to work there and knew some of the people I knew, like some of the teachers.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, I remember her. I really liked her. And I remember specific things about her. And then I remember her. I did not like her. You know, she was mean to me.
Yeah.
You know, it's so funny how, I mean, I don't think about these people every day.
Yeah.
You know? But how they do impact your life.
Mm-hmm.
How teachers really are role models.
Yeah.
And in some situations, the only place where kids feel safe.
Yeah.
Or loved.
Mm-hmm.
And what a great opportunity that is to be able to impact someone's little life. Like, their little life in these small wins. And it can be dramatic. I'm sure there are moments where people have had dramatic experiences.
Mm-hmm.
But how nice that every day you probably could see something that's like, oh, okay, I'm glad I did this.
Well, and I think we all have like little things that we remember, like inconsequential things that happened when we were, you know, kids in classes. And like I have interactions that I remember with almost all of my teachers where I'm like,
oh, totally,
that was impactful, or like you made me feel like I could do things, or you like actually told me that I was smart,
right?
You know, and you remember that. And it's like, if you can instill those like feelings and make kids feel confident in themselves, that is it's a huge task.
And it stays with them.
But it
really does.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. I know this is a bad story, but I actually remember a teacher. I came in from recess early. Relief Society. I came in from recess early and to grab a coat or something, and the teacher, who wasn't even my teacher, started yelling at me. And I was in second or third grade, and she was like, you're such a troublemaker, like just going off at me and being so mean.
Yeah.
And I called her the B word. I was like, you are such a... And then I got in trouble. Because I thought, what the heck? You know, I am not who you say I am.
Yeah.
You know?
Just getting a coat.
Yeah, but it's so funny that I can totally remember this woman.
Yeah.
In her dress coming out here. Like, and just saying all these things about me. And I was like, that is not true, but I will say something. You know?
I'll have the last word.
Probably not a proud parent moment for my mom and dad. I was like, oh, so you. I really was a good kid. But it is funny
you stood up for yourself.
Yeah, I did. But it is funny how we have those specific memories. And we don't think about that. But teaching is such an important job and something that is so valuable. And that we need teachers that you're mentioning. That do you feel like there's just a lack of teachers in general?
I think in general there is a shortage.
Yeah.
I mean, nationwide, there's a teacher shortage. And I think that it's a profession that people are burning out of at a rapid rate. And I think that is because of like some of the things I mentioned before, just like district expectations, government expectations, all of these things that are outside of our control, and like decisions that are being made about our jobs by people that have no experience in a classroom and don't understand how
that makes a huge difference.
Makes a huge difference. And I also think that there's something to be said about, you know, like teachers are professionals,
right?
But they're not always treated like they are. You know, we're not always
That's true.
We're not always given the courtesy of like acknowledging that like you did go to school and you did get a degree in this, so you might know what's best for your classroom.
Right.
You know, like you might be able to make an educated decision about what to do for these students.
Right.
And sometimes you're just not given that grace, I guess.
Right.
You know, sometimes it's like we're making this decision, this is what you should do. Right. And that like is sometimes from a district level, you know, or you'll be like, well, you haven't been in the classroom for 25 years. Like that's just not going to work. It's not the same as it was then. And so that it's kind of just like the balancing act of all of these different things and parent expectations. And, you know, there's a lot of different moving parts.
That's true. I think across the board in all careers, we could all do, not even careers, in all things in life, I think we could all be better at that. And let them, they studied it, or they're the professional at that, or they are this, or whatever it is. Just let them speak.
Yeah.
Trust them, or at least be willing to listen to it, you know, because you might learn something from it.
Yeah.
And also it opens up a better dialogue than just someone being like, well, this is how we're doing it. Like, there could be more benefits if we listen to each other and give the other person an opportunity to speak. But my last question, you kind of answered it already, but I mean, if you have something else you can, you know, what would your advice be for someone who is high school, young adult, someone who's older and hates their job, like whatever it is?
Yeah.
Our career is so important to us.
Yeah.
And it's our identity usually, and something we can be really proud of. And it's also a really scary thing because it's like, what the heck do we choose to do?
Yeah.
So what would your advice be for anyone in those stages who wasn't like you?
Yeah.
Who
no,
knew
honestly,
what would you say?
My advice would be like, it's okay if you don't know what you want to do, and you should explore a lot of things.
Yeah.
And if you think you know what you want to do, still explore a lot of options, because there are so many career paths that are all great and amazing. And there's so many things that you don't even know are options.
Yeah.
So many things that you don't know are options. And also my other advice is to pay attention to salary and pay attention to how much money you make, because that sounds bad, but like, you may not want a job where you have to have a second job or a side hustle all the time, or where you're like looking for little ways to make more money. Like most teachers are doing that.
Right.
Especially if you are, you know, like me, and you're single and you're only, you know, working off of your one income. Like I'm always looking for little things to do, like little ways to make money. You know, I'd like tutor on the side or get a job over the summer. So if that's not something that you want to do, that's something to take into consideration as well. Like think about, I guess, the kind of life that you want to live and what fulfills you, and see if you can find something that like meets both of those expectations that you have.
Right.
Yeah. I just would say like, you don't need to feel rushed to figure out what you want to do. Like there will always be time. You'll have the rest of your life to do your career.
Right.
But if you make the wrong choice, then like you're going to have to start over again anyways.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to like test the waters in a lot of different things. And if you try something and you do a year of college in this program and you decide you hate it, fine.
Yeah.
Try something else and it's going to be fine. You
That's
know,
true.
I always tell, like I was talking to my younger siblings about this, and I was like, you have the rest of your life to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, like you can explore and try new things. And like, this is your chance. This is your time to do it when there are not very many consequences. Like this is what you're supposed to be doing. So
it's true. That's good advice coming from someone who has a stable job. You know?
Yeah.
It really is. It's comforting. Like I really like to hear that from my parents as well.
Yeah.
Or from people I admire. Say, you can explore. And especially if, I mean, you knew what you wanted to do and but allowing people to say, and allowing yourself, like, I can explore. Which you didn't need to do, but it's awesome.
Well, and if you make a choice and you start doing a job and you hate it, that's fine too.
Totally.
Make a shift.
Yeah. I am living proof that you can pivot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Abs.
Yeah.